Someone asks you how much you charge, and something happens before you answer. A pause, a slight recalculation. You think about the client in front of you, whether they seem like the type to push back, and you shade the number down just a little bit, just to be safe. Well, that's not pricing. That's fear and disbelief taking over. And the reason I'm spending an entire video on this is that I've watched that one moment, that pause before the number, shape the entire trajectory of people's businesses. Not just what they earned, but who they worked with, what results they got, and whether they stayed in business at all. So, if you ever discounted before you were even asked to, this one is for you. I'm Dan. I run Client Capital. I help people build AI growth consultancies, and we've worked with over 400 people now at every stage, getting started, building the offer, putting the systems in place, and scaling it up. I've also been in this space for over 10 years and have scaled multiple 7-figure companies. And out of everything, this is the thing I see trip people up the most. Not the model, not the service, it's what's going on underneath the number they say out loud. Because a lot of people get to a point where they know exactly what they're doing. They know what they sell. They know who it's for. But when it comes to pricing, they still land on a number that feels comfortable instead of one that actually reflects the value of the outcome. And the thing is, the pattern isn't random. Once you see it, you don't unsee it. So let's clear something up, because most people think they get this, but they don't actually use it. There are two ways people price. One is based on fear. The other is based on value. Fear-based pricing sounds like this in your head. What can I get away with charging? What won't scare them off? What feels more reasonable for me right now? Whereas value-based pricing is completely different. It starts from the outcome. How much revenue does this generate? How many leads does this bring in? How much time or cost does this actually save them? Something real, something measurable. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. Most people say they price on value. Almost no one actually does. You can test it with one question. If you doubled your price tomorrow, would the result for the client change? If the answer is yes, you're pricing on value. If the answer is no, you're still pricing based on what you think you're allowed to ask for. And that is the trap. Because the value of what you do doesn't change based on how experienced you feel. If you run a campaign that brings in 30 qualified leads and those leads turn into 5K clients, the value is the value. The number exists whether you charged 1K or 5K. Your confidence doesn't change their revenue. Your experience doesn't change their results. The value is already there. Your job is to just price in line with it. But the moment you start from what can I get away with, you've already capped yourself before the clients even had a chance to respond. Let me show you what actually happens when you price from fear. Because this isn't theory, this is a pattern. And once you see it, you'll recognize it everywhere. Someone gets started, they're motivated, they're doing the work, outreach goes on, calls get booked, and one of them lands. The call goes well. Then comes the moment. The number, and they drop it. Not because the client pushed, not because there was resistance, just to make it easier, to remove any chance of losing the deal. So they say 600 quid a month, and the client says yes. At first, it feels like a win. A few months later, it doesn't. Now the client wants constant updates, weekly reports, messages at odd hours. They're slow to approve anything, but quick to question absolutely everything. They change things without telling you. Then they blame the campaign when it dips. You're chasing them more than you're helping them. You're doing more work than you're agreed to. And the results? Not what they should be. Partly because the client won't meet you halfway. Then they leave. And the story you tell yourself is this: I can't charge more until I can retain clients. But that's not what actually happened. The price did the filtering. You didn't just land a client. You selected a type of client. Someone who made their decision based on price, not outcome. And people who buy based on price leave based on price. The second it doesn't feel worth it in their head, they're gone. But clients who buy into the result, they behave differently. When things get hard, they lean in. They stay engaged. They work with you because they didn't just buy a monthly fee. They bought into where this is going. That all gets decided before you even start. Price is the first filter. It decides who says yes to you before they've even worked with you. And when you choose the lower number to feel safe, you don't just lower the price. You choose the type of client that comes with it. Then that client gives you the exact experience you were trying to avoid and reinforces that belief that you can't charge more, that the market won't pay. And that cycle keeps running until you break it. And the place you break it isn't the service. It's the number. Here's what actually changes everything, and almost no one realizes it. It's not the price, it's when you say it. Because most people rush to the number too early. They treat pricing like the starting point of the conversation instead of the conclusion. So instead, before you ever mention a number, you need to do one thing. Ask 3 questions. What are you trying to achieve in the next 90 days? What does a successful outcome look like to you? And if this worked the way you want it to, what would that be worth to your business? That's it. Those 3 questions do more heavy lifting than any pricing formula ever will, because now something important has happened. The client has defined the outcome. They've attached value to it. They've told you what winning looks like in their own world. So when you give your number, you're not guessing. You're not pulling something out of thin air. You're placing a number inside a frame they just built, and that lands completely differently. The price doesn't feel random anymore. It feels like a logical step, a continuation of the conversation. And I've seen this shift change everything without changing anything else. Same person, same service, same results, just a different sequence. Someone inside the program was charging £600 a month. Nothing about what they delivered changed. They didn't suddenly become a better media buyer. The market didn't magically start paying them more. They just stopped leading with the number and started leading with the outcome. And that same offer moved to £2,000 retainers. That's the shift, not what you charge. When you earn the right to say it, you're probably thinking, yeah, that sounds good, but my client's asking for the price straight away. And sometimes they do. But here's what actually is going on. They're asking early because you've given them nothing else to focus on. If you open a conversation by talking about your service, your offer, what you do, their brain immediately jumps to one thing. How much is this? Because that's the only variable they've got. No context, no outcome, no reason to think any deeper than the price. So of course they ask. But if you shift how you open the conversation, everything changes. Instead of leading with what you do, you say, before I get into anything, I just want to understand what you actually need this to do for you. That one line slows everything down. Now, it's not about your service. It's about their situation. And most people lean into that because no one asks them that. Everyone else jumps straight into the pitch. So when you take a second to understand first, you stand out immediately. And more importantly, you earn the space to ask questions that actually matter. That's what controls the flow of the conversation. Not how you answer the pricing question, but whether you set it up properly in the first place. Because the sequence doesn't start when they ask how much. It starts in the first 10 seconds of the call. Now I'm going to decode the 2 main objections. There are literally 2 things people hear on sales calls that throw them off. And both of them mean the exact same thing. The first is, can you do it cheaper? Most people hear that and think it's a no. Well, it's not. It just means the value hasn't landed yet. They don't have a clear picture of what the outcome is actually worth. So they default to the only lever they understand, price. That's not resistance. That's lack of context. And the mistake people thinking is dropping the number. Instead of doing that, you bring it back to the outcome. Before I answer that, can I ask, what would need to happen for this to be a clear yes for you at this price? Now, we're back where you should be, talking about results, not discounts. The second one is, I need to think about it. Same thing, different words. It means the number feels disconnected from the result. They can't justify it in their head because the outcome wasn't clear enough before the price showed up. So they pause, not because they're not interested, because it doesn't fully make sense yet. Both of these aren't rejections. They're redirects. They're the client telling you without saying it directly, help me understand why this is worth it. So you go back, you make the outcome clearer, more concrete, more real. You turn the price into a conclusion, not the start of a negotiation. And here's the deeper part most people miss. When you price from fear, you signal it. You don't need to say anything. They hear it in the pause before the number. They see it when you rush to justify it. They feel it when the price comes out like a question instead of a statement. Your price isn't just a number, it's a complete signal. And the client takes their cues from you. If you don't sound certain, they won't feel certain. But when you've done the work properly, when the outcome is clear, and when the value is obvious, when the number sits exactly where it should, you don't need tricks. You just say it and the whole conversation shifts, because now the price doesn't feel like a risk. It feels like the next logical step. So if you take anything from this, take these four. First, your price is a filter. It decides who you end up working with. Not just who says yes, but who stays, who shows up properly, who actually gets results. So you don't set it based on who you're scared of losing. Set it based on the type of client you actually want more of. Second, fear-based pricing feeds itself. You lower the number to feel safe. You attract the wrong clients, they become hard work, they leave, and that experience convinces you that you can't charge more. So you stay stuck. That loop doesn't break on its own. It breaks when you change the number. Third, fix the order of the conversation. Everything changes when you stop leading with price. When you slow it down, ask the right questions, make the outcome clear first, the number lands differently. Same service, same offer, different reaction. Because now the price feels earned, not random. And fourth, when someone says, can you do it cheaper? That's not them rejecting you. That's them telling you they don't fully see the value yet. So don't rush to drop the price. Go back, clarify the outcome, tighten the link between what they actually want and what you're offering. Because once that connection is clear, you don't need to convince them. The number speaks for itself. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the link below to book in a call with myself or my team today to see if you can join Client Capital. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the link below to book in a call with myself or my team today to see if you can join Client Capital.